So let's start with that Girona game. A big 1-0 win. Liverpool not at their best, but another win. Perfect in the Champions League. 6 wins from 6. Pretty much guaranteed to be through. Mo Salah doing the business again. As I say, not a perfect performance, but you take that every day of the week, don't you?
Yeah, I think I was kind of slightly more bright on the general outlook after the game than Arne Slot was. He really wasn't happy with the performance, which kind of surprised me. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, going away in the Champions League is very, very tough. Girona have shown they're a good side and obviously deserve to be there. And for them as well, it's an absolutely huge game having a club like Liverpool come into that stadium. I know they've faced Barcelona, they've faced Real Madrid quite recently, in fact, but to get a big European team like that coming there and in that atmosphere, it was a huge day for them. So they absolutely worked their socks off, didn't they, and made it really difficult for Liverpool, and looked a bit dangerous on the break at times, but primarily kind of sat in and made it difficult. So it was always going to be kind of a hard game, and Liverpool, I think, just find a way to win, don't they? I mean, I think the penalty's slightly fortuitous, to be honest, looking at it. No complaints about the decision per se, because he takes his boot off, and I think that kind of seals it. But a little bit lucky with the way that kind of falls. But the way Liverpool take that chance and then just kind of kill the game, I think was probably the most satisfying aspect of the performance. And I just don't think you can complain too much when you're 6 wins from 6 in the Champions League. You haven't conceded a goal since the 3rd minute of the first game. You're already basically through. Not quite mathematically yet, but 18 points will definitely get them through in the top 8. So that means you don't need a playoff. It turns those last 2 group games into dead rubbers. I just think there's an awful lot of positives. But as I say, Arne Slot maybe wasn't as focused on those as I was.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think he was so upset with that performance? Was it because maybe, I'm trying to think if we've seen a bigger example of maybe losing a bit of that control, the greater control you've had under Slot compared to Klopp in midfield, and allowing a few more good chances, because disallowing good chances has been what Liverpool have been really good at this season. And Girona had quite a few sights of goal. Okay, maybe not like City's, you wouldn't maybe expect them to score, and every save Alisson did make, probably ones you'd expect a goalkeeper of that caliber to make. But maybe it was that bit of lack of control and how easily they were able to get at the defence and go through the midfield a bit.
Yeah, I think what you didn't see was I thought you probably saw more control in this game than you did in the Newcastle one. And he didn't seem half as disappointed by that result, given the way that panned out. So that was kind of what surprised me. But I guess what it is that what probably most disappointed him was that there was a lot of mitigating circumstances around the Newcastle game. The schedule Liverpool had. That again is a tough place to go. Whereas I think he maybe thought after a rest, after missing the Merseyside derby, that he would come out and put in a really good performance in this one and be a bit more convincing. So maybe that is what kind of disappointed him, is that there weren't as many mitigating circumstances or excuses for the performance, and Liverpool weren't as controlled as they could be. And obviously Girona is talking them up and saying they're a good side, but I probably imagine that Newcastle have got better players and would be able to beat them. So I think he was just disappointed because he probably expected more, and Liverpool weren't as controlled. But I would say the kind of after they score, I thought it was a really, really good performance in terms of just seeing the game out. Didn't really give much up at all and completely controlled it there. But I think he would have liked to have seen that control earlier, and to not give up the opportunities that he did in the first half. So, and I guess sometimes, if you win and you get a performance that isn't your best, that is maybe a good time to go in on your players a little bit, because, it won't kind of harm the confidence at all. Everybody's kind of happy that they've got the win and will maybe take that criticism on board a little easier. Because I think he knows if they perform like that against Fulham, there's every chance that Fulham will get a result on the basis of the performance against Arsenal. So he's got to, maybe it's just a little reminder to his players that they've got to do a lot better than that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's Liverpool 5 points clear now at the top of the Champions League table. Might change tonight potentially, but as you say, pretty much guaranteed to be through. And if you look back to the draw being made, there was a lot of talk about Liverpool maybe having the toughest draw out of the English teams, and maybe finding it difficult to even get through, certainly into the top 8. So, I mean, we've said it quite a lot of the incredible start Slot's made, but Champions League alone, how impressive has that been so far to be pretty much through, to be able to use those last 2 games as just dead rubbers, to maybe play a few fringe players, rest a few other players, and to obviously pretty much be straight into the last 16 and avoiding those 2 extra playoff games.
Yeah, it's hugely impressive because I think obviously you think about Jurgen Klopp and his achievements at Liverpool. You know, Europe was a kind of dead cert for Liverpool in that time on the basis that, you know, he got them to kind of 3 Champions League finals. He got them to a Europa League final. It's just a remarkable record that you think, you know, people think get blasé about it in the end that Liverpool were just going to be great in Europe. But that, you know, was a miracle in comparison to what had happened in the years prior to Jurgen Klopp turning up. So you thought with Arne Slot coming in and taking on a club where the expectations are massively different to at Feyenoord, that was a big challenge for him. And maybe there would be teething problems and issues he'd have to deal with and lessons he'd have to learn along the way. I didn't for a second think after that draw came out that Liverpool would be 6 from 6 and the first side that's basically booked the place in the top 8. So yeah, it's an incredible achievement, really. And as you say, it takes all the pressure off those 2 last games. You know, if Liverpool are struggling a little bit with injuries or fatigue, you can rotate for those. And you condense the group stage essentially to 6 games. You'd no need for a playoff, which, you know, again, is 2 games of really high importance that would make it really tricky for them. So it's just a huge bonus and a lot more than we maybe expected at the start of the season. And you know, huge credit to Arne Slot for that, really.